The first thing you should know is this: I didn't plan to fall for him. Hell, I didn't even plan to be at that damn birthday party. But life has a twisted sense of humor. And somehow, I ended up standing in the middle of a luxury Manhattan apartment, holding a glass of champagne I couldn't afford, next to a man who made lying feel like breathing. "Just smile and don't freak out," he whispered, his voice like warm whiskey brushing against my ear. Easy for him to say. He was the golden boy, tall, devastatingly handsome, with that perfectly careless grin that made women melt and men question their sexuality. And me, I was just me. Broke, overworked, definitely underqualified to be anyone's boyfriend, fake or real. But when he slipped his arm around my waist, pulling me closer in front of 100 curious eyes, something inside me cracked open. It wasn't supposed to feel this real. The warmth of his body, the faint smell of cedar and expensive cologne. God, I hated how much I noticed. "Everyone's watching," he murmured again, his lips barely moving. I nodded like I understood the rules of this ridiculous game. I didn't. 30 minutes earlier, I'd been a stranger in that apartment. Just a friend of a friend tagging along because I didn't want to spend another Saturday night eating ramen and scrolling through Instagram like a loser. The plan was simple: drink a little, blend in, leave unnoticed. Then he walked up, all confidence and tailored perfection, like some rom-com lead who accidentally stumbled into the wrong life mine. "Alex, right?" His voice was smooth, like he'd practiced saying my name. Maybe he had. "I need a favor." A favor. That's what started this mess. Turns out, the birthday boy, his best friend, apparently had a guest list full of people dying to see him single and vulnerable. And nothing set off the market like showing up with a boyfriend. A fake one. Me. I should have said no. I should have laughed in his stupidly symmetrical face and walked away. But when he looked at me with those desperate blue eyes, something reckless in me said yes. Maybe it was the champagne talking. Or maybe, deep down, I wanted to know what it felt like even for a night to be someone worth claiming. So here I was, playing the role of his devoted boyfriend, while strangers whispered and shot us curious glances. He was perfect at this, brushing his fingers against mine, leaning in just close enough to make it believable, laughing at my awkward jokes like they were the funniest thing in the world. For a second, I almost believed it too. Then, in the middle of that perfect illusion, reality hit like a freight train. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, smirked, then showed it to me. A text. From Mom. "Dinner tomorrow night. Can't wait to meet your boyfriend." Boyfriend. As in, me. My stomach flipped. I opened my mouth to protest, to tell him this was insane. But he was already typing back. "He'll be there." "Wait, what?" I hissed, pulling him toward a quiet corner of the room. "What the hell are you doing?" He grinned like this was the most entertaining thing in the world. "Relax, Alex. It's just dinner. Just dinner. With your mother, who thinks we're—" I lowered my voice. "Together." His expression softened for a second, the smirk fading into something almost vulnerable. "Please. I can't explain right now. I just need you to trust me." Trust him. I didn't even know his last name. But the way he looked at me, like I was his only lifeline in a storm he couldn't control. God help me. I nodded. Later, when the party thinned out and the city lights spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I found myself alone on the balcony, trying to piece together what the hell I'd gotten into. That's when he joined me. "Cold?" he asked, draping his jacket over my shoulders before I could answer. It smelled like him. Warm. Clean. like a life I didn't belong in. Why me? I asked, staring at the skyline instead of his face. He didn't answer right away, just leaned against the railing, hands in his pockets, like he was trying to figure out the truth too. Because, he said finally, his voice quiet, you didn't look at me like everyone else does. Like I'm some perfect thing they can't wait to own. His honesty caught me off guard. For a second, I forgot this was fake. For a second, I wanted to believe there was something real behind those words. And that was the problem. Because the more I played his boyfriend, the more I wanted to be. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Tomorrow, I'd be sitting at a dinner table with his mother, pretending to be the man he loved, pretending not to notice how much I wanted it to be true. But maybe, just maybe, some lies have a way of turning into something real. Dinner at his mother's house was supposed to be a performance. Smile. Nod. Hold his hand when she looks too closely. Easy. Right? Except nothing about tonight felt easy. The house was beautiful in that classic American way: white columns, polished hardwood floors, a dining room big enough to host a wedding. I felt like an imposter the second I stepped inside, wearing my best thrift store button-up, praying no one noticed the frayed cuff. She noticed me immediately. His mother. Elegant. Sharp eyes. The kind of woman who could read a man's soul before dessert. So this is Alex, she said, her voice sweet but testing. The man who finally tamed my son. My pulse stuttered. He slid his arm around my waist like it belonged there, his touch grounding me. Mom, be nice, he teased, leaning in to kiss her cheek. Then to me, softly, relax, I've got you. Those 3 words nearly unraveled me. Dinner was a blur of conversation, clinking glasses, and polite laughter. She asked questions: how we met, what I did for work, what I loved most about her son. And God help me, the lies came easier than they should have. He never shuts up about you, she said at one point, and I almost choked. You make him happy. I can see it. Happy. Was he? Because every time our eyes met across that table, something flickered there, something raw and unguarded that didn't feel like acting. Then came the question that nearly broke me. So, Alex, she said, pouring more wine, do you see a future with him? My throat tightened. Before I could answer, he reached under the table and squeezed my hand. His grip was firm, reassuring, but his thumb brushed my skin like he was asking for more than silence. Yes, I heard myself say, and it didn't even sound like a lie. When we finally left, the night air hit me like a confession I wasn't ready for. He drove in silence, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on his thigh so close to mine it hurt. Thanks, he said finally, his voice rougher than I'd ever heard it. You saved me in there. Sure, I muttered, staring out the window. Anytime you need a fake boyfriend to impress your mom, I'm your guy. He laughed, but it sounded hollow. Alex, I turned to him, and that's when I saw it, the crack in his perfect facade. His jaw was tense, his eyes dark with something I couldn't name. This wasn't just about tonight, he said quietly. It's been bad with my family lately. They think I'm lost, that I'll never settle down. I thought if they saw me happy, they'd stop looking at me like a disappointment. I should have been angry. I should have told him using me was messed up. But all I could think was how lonely his voice sounded in that car. How much I wanted to take that loneliness away. You're not a disappointment, I said before I could stop myself. You're, you. And then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was desperate, like he'd been holding back for years and couldn't anymore. His hand cupped my jaw, pulling me closer. And my heart, God, my heart stopped pretending. When we broke apart, breathless, the world felt different. He rested his forehead against mine. Eyes closed. "Tell me this isn't fake," he whispered. I swallowed hard, my chest aching with the truth I'd been running from all night. "It's not," I said. "Not for me." He exhaled like a man finally coming up for air, then kissed me again, softer this time, like a promise. The weeks that followed blurred into something I'd never thought I'd have. Mornings tangled in his sheets, coffee shared over inside jokes, nights spent learning the map of his skin. What started as a lie became the most honest thing in my life. But happiness has a way of making you wait for the catch. Came one evening, when his mother showed up at his apartment unannounced. "I need to talk to you both," she said, her expression unreadable. I braced myself for the truth to come crashing down, for her to call us out, for everything to shatter. Instead, she smiled. A small, knowing smile that made my stomach twist. "I was hard on you," she admitted, looking at him. "But tonight, watching you two, I realized I've never seen you this happy. If this is who you love, then that's all that matters to me." For a moment, none of us moved. Then he reached for my hand, not as part of a performance, not to keep up appearances, but because he wanted to. "Thank you," he said softly, and there was a tremor in his voice that made my throat ache. When she left, I turned to him. "She knows," I said, half laughing, half terrified. "Yeah," he said, grinning like the sun breaking through a storm. "And I don't care." Neither did I, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't pretending. Months later, on a quiet night in that same Manhattan apartment, he looked at me across the kitchen counter, the same one where this whole mess started, and said, "Alex, I love you." I stared at him, heart hammering, before smiling like a fool. "Good," I whispered, stepping into his arms. "Because I'm never giving this up." And maybe life was a little twisted. Maybe it threw me into a lie just to show me the truth. But as his lips found mine and the city hummed below us, I realized something simple and terrifying and beautiful. Some stories don't start the way you expect. But if you're lucky, they end exactly the way they're meant to. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.